this is Thai Nova Kukan. Classic one. Anyway, so let's continue. But actually, I have some announcement to make. Should I wait until everyone will come? We're not sure that if everyone will come tonight. This is the thing. Let me show you first. This is our schedule. It's gonna change a little bit. All right. Tonight, April 10, we have performance management and our case study asana,
Asana.
which is our case. Next week, next week is gonna be training and development. It's gonna be case. Any good five? Okay, so good five. Gonna do case study next week. It's a little bit of change because we plan to have a guest lecturer, compensation management. Actually, I plan to invite her April 17th or April 24th. Unfortunately, she can't. Only day that she can come is on May 1st. Therefore, May 1st is going to be compensation management and it's going to be guest speaker. Therefore, we have two options. One option that we have to shift paper and presentation to April 24th, which is I think it's going to be too early for you. Is it too early for you to submit your paper and presentation? If it's too early for you, we can cancel the class on April 24th and we have makeup class on May 3rd. Meaning that in this week, we're gonna have two sections. One section is on regular Wednesday from guest speaker, and on Friday it's gonna be paper and presentation, term paper and presentation on May 3rd. So far we have two options. So think about that, which option that you would think that they're gonna be the best for you. Any idea? Any suggestion, any comments? Because what happened? You seem to have like you understand what I said? Or any other option that you think is going to work better for you, even on Saturday, that's fine if you prefer that. Because since I already invited a guest lecturer and she said that she can do just only on May 1st. You can have like live group or something that you can probably ask everyone and get result for me. So in another one that so far there two options for me. But if you guys can be come up with other options, that's very fine. But this is just what I can think of. Either you have paper and presentation, or maybe just presentation on April 24th, and you can submit paper later. Even so that can be done on April 24th, if you go with that option. Or we can have two sections in the same week, which is we're gonna have class on May 1st and May 3rd. Or if you have other option, please let me know. But normally I have class on Tuesday, so I cannot do on Tuesday. But other day I think I can be flexible. All right. Okay. So that's something that's for you. Sorry about that, but I don't know. Just try to handle everyone's constraint. Okay, this is from last time. Last time we discussed about human resource planning, which is think about number of people in the organization in the future and also qualification skill that we need for to fulfill our strategy in the future. After we already made decision about number of people, and then if we realize that we need more people in the organization, next function is to recruit, meaning that we try to attract candidates to be interested in our organization. All right, but before we start, I show you a clip from Deloitte, which is that's from that clip that's try to attract young generation, which is mostly Generation Y, with rap song. But if you listen carefully in the song, in its lyrics, you will find that in that lyrics it shows both positive and negative side working in Deloitte. Negative side is something like short lunch break and probably not a lot of option for employee to choose. Anyway, that was the example of realistic job review, and this is the reason why we think that realistic job review is better than just try to attract people as many as we can. Because if we do that, maybe we provide incorrect information, inaccurate information, and when people they actually join organization, they experience the real thing, they can get shocked and then they can leave organization anyway. Therefore, it's better that we provide something that's real about organization, which is when it's real, it can be something good, something bad from last time. Alright, and this is about two-phase recruitment. Who does recruiting? Yeah, okay. In large organization or even medium-sized, we have HR. We have a lot of people in HR department, which is kind of like separate into the group that just do recruitment. In employment office, have recruiter, interviewer, and so on. So there are people that have expertise in dealing with how to make people know about the jobs. Maybe there's the one that go represent organization, for example, in college recruitment, or maybe in job fair. Those are this is done by this group of people. But for small organization, in terms of recruitment, it can be done by line manager. Because it's small, so probably not a lot of people working in HR office, so that can be delegated to line manager to help to recruit people working in organization. Okay, but when we're speaking of recruiter, it's very essential, meaning that recruitment is the first process that outsider got to meet organization. In the other one, it's kind of like market organization. If it's not good, it can show like negative, or it can create bad impression about organization. Therefore, recruiters have to be very careful to create positive image about organization. And this is about recruiter. What could be good aspect of recruiter? To talk about that, let's answer this question together. Question 1, applicants respond more positively when recruiter is an HR specialist than line managers or incumbents. True or false? What do you think? Recruiter, when we talk about recruiter in here, it means people from HR office and try to do recruiting work. As I mentioned that there are representative of the organization got to meet, for example, if recruiter go to like campus recruitment, they're going to be the one that is standing in that booths and then provide information to students, that recruiter. But for this question, true or false, that applicant respond more positively when recruiter is an HR expertise specialist than line manager or incumbents. True or false?
True.
Some of you answer, but just only one person raised hand, so I'm gonna go with you. Okay, you think true or false?
I would say false, because I apply for a job, to meet and talk to people I would work with.
Mm-hmm.
HR specialist, and I cannot say the correct details, but I really want to know about the job.
Mm-hmm.
He's more or less the person who checks my background and sees if I have low grades or something like that. But I would work for the company.
Maybe something
I
that
want to
you,
know what I'm doing.
and maybe something that if you want more information, you want to ask line manager instead of recruiter, right? Okay, yeah, that's the reason why. It's false. That's when in recruiting process, even though recruiter is very important, but in terms of for job applicants, they rather talk to line manager because they're gonna work with that line manager. But the thing is, line manager don't have time to do this type of activity a lot. Therefore, it's a job of recruiter. But if job applicant can choose, they would like to talk to, they would like to meet the line managers. But yeah, even though in the process of recruitment, they don't get a chance to meet line manager, but not most of the time in interview or in selection, one of the interviewers should be line manager. Okay, that's okay. Question number 2: applicants respond. Number 2: applicants respond positively to a recruiter whom are warm and informative. True or false?
True.
Yes, so true. Yeah, you want to talk to someone who is warm and informative, have information for us, not just someone that just standing there and smile, but we want someone that who can answer our question, something that we would like to know, so that would be good. Okay, personal policy are more important than recruiter when deciding whether or not to take a job. True or false? This is true. Because this is a process of after everything done and we have job offer. Therefore, policy, for example, like compensation and so on, can highly affect decision making to take a job or not. And the last one, realistic job preview should highlight the positive characteristic of the job rather than the negative. True or false? Yeah, okay. Because we already talked about that already. That realistic job preview should provide both positive and negative for long-term effect. All right. So to sum up, this is to enhance recruiter impact. Recruiters should provide timely feedback and avoid offensive behavior. Meaning that after applicants submit the application form, maybe have to follow up and maybe give information about what should be the next step. They should avoid behaving in a way that might convey the wrong impression about organization. For example, it should be nice, someone that try to give information to job applicants, try to create positive impression. Organization can recruit with team rather than individual recruiter. That's about recruitment. At last, to evaluate. After we do recruitment, we have several ways to evaluate our recruitment. For example, we would like to know which, for example, in terms of source of recruitment, from campus or from internet, which is going to be better. Therefore, we can do something like this. As this is just like make up data, but just to give you idea. For example, from that source can be from local university, can be from renowned university, employee referral, newspaper, and so on. And resume generating, how many resume that we got, interview offer accepted, how many people accept to come to the interview. Also, applicant just acceptable until employment offer, and it come to the yield and cost for each source. So this will give us an idea which source is very effective, and maybe both effective in terms of can generate number of applicants or applicants that get job offer, and also in terms of cost efficiency, something like that. That's about recruitment. Okay, so now we move on to selection. This is from last time that we have case selection. In the other word, after recruitment, we got pool of applicants. We got applicants for us to pick. We got to choose. It would be nice if we can, pick someone that, we have choice actually. If we don't have choice, if we don't have a lot of options, probably we cannot, pick the one that's really good for us. But the thing is, if you recall from group presentation, any member from group presentation last time are here? Okay, so yeah. So at least we have Papa. From your last slide, if you recall, you're talking about performance is come from ability, come from motivation. Remember that? This is something like to be used, maybe make decision in selection. Okay, that makes sense. That because actually I like the idea that this is probably from last semester, the first half, that you still, use something from the first half, which is something that I will appreciate, that you don't totally forget everything. All right, so that's good. But anyway, something that I would like to add, in the selection process, as it said here, we want someone who best, but not just only the best, but best match. Which is, what does it mean by match? When we're talking about matches, mean that two matches. One is person job fit, and one is person organization fit. Meaning that when we make decision who should be picked to work for us or work with us, one is we want someone that have KSAO, which is K is knowledge, S is skill, A is ability, O is other characteristic that fit with the job. For example, if you are looking for a salesperson, you want someone that is sociable, you want extrovert, you want someone that not afraid to talk with strangers. That's person job fit. Because we believe that when we have person job fit, it can affect performance, job performance. And another thing that we want person organization fit. Last time we talked about organizational culture, meaning that organization have unique characteristics. Even for example, like bank, Thai Bank have different characteristics when we compare to maybe like Kasikorn Bank, K Bank, or Bangkok Bank. We want someone that have fit their personality fit with organizational personality. In the other word, personality that fit with organizational culture. Or in terms of person organization fit, it does probably have nothing to do much with job performance, but it highly affect job satisfaction, and job satisfaction will affect turnover. Meaning that if we got people that fit with organization, chances are they will stay long in our organization. Since we want to manage turnover, we don't want someone just join organization and just for a while, just for a short time they leave organization. We don't want that to happen. Therefore, to make sure that they're going to be happy with organization, we should get someone that fit with the organization. This is to consideration when we pick someone working for organization, which is besides their ability, their motivation. This is something that we should highly consider. All right. So that's but when we talk about performance in organization, it can be anything. It can meaning that it can be quality of output. It can be attendance. It can be honesty. It depends on what you're looking for from employees. Successful selection doesn't always mean finding someone that is the most of given a quality. Meaning that it doesn't mean that we have to go with the one with the best one. Just optimal match between the job and characteristic of the applicant. Just that, which is we just in the other word, we just want the right one, and the right one doesn't mean the best one. If you see what I mean, all right? I think Appa understand that because you went to Lumai Castle. So that in that you're looking for the right one, right? And the right one doesn't mean that to be the best one, just to be meet as someone that fit with you. And in this case, fit with the job and fit with the situation. For example, Cold Stone ice cream. Well, they not actually just sell ice cream. We're talking about Cold Stone in United States, probably not in Thailand. They see themselves as not only that the employees order that ice cream, but they should do something that make customer have fun, which is entertaining customer while they make ice cream. Therefore, this is going to be qualification that look for. They even use the term audition, just like audition for a play or in the concert or in a movie. That's people go to audition to get a part in a play. But Coastal also do that. All right, so. Talking about selection process, what should be selection process? Well, it depends on two factors. One is internal environmental factor that influence selection process. First is size. If organization is big, the selection process can be a lot of steps because that they probably they have like, for example, maybe 3 interviews or something like that, or but for a small organization maybe just 1 interview with the owner, that's it. So it's if the bigger organization get chances are more steps in job applicants that have to go through to get a job. And then it's about complexity, especially complexity of a job. It depends on type of job that we are hiring. For example, as a pilot, you can imagine that the process to get a pilot is very complex. Have to go through a lot of process. For example, I have one student did an IS, independent study about selection process, pilot selection process, comparing between, I think, Thai Airways and Bangkok Airways. Since he wanted to be a pilot, it was his dream jobs, and he failed that some test, not the test, but he failed for like a couple times. But still, he still wanted to be a pilot. Therefore, for his IS, he researched, he explored, he studied process, how one can be selected to be a pilot. And it turned out that it's not only that he got IS done, but after that he also got a job. Right now he works as a pilot in Bangkok Airways, which is I'm so happy for him because this is his ideal job, and since he worked hard, very hard to get how to about the process. So he really understands the process. He can come up with strategy to deal with all the process. Okay. Anyway, so but the process can be like they have psychologists to test psychological state of pilot students and so. I have a lot of committee to make decision who going to pass this round and next round. Because when we talk about pilot job, it involves a lot of risk. When something happens, it can cost a lot. But it's not about money, it's about life. Therefore, that's very important. Or attitude toward hiring from within, which is promotion from within. This is organization apply the policy, and this is from last time that we're talking about promotion from within. Or in the other word, if organization rely on internal source in organization, or organization work doesn't care much about just looking for someone who already worked for this organization, maybe want someone outside organization, that can be policy. Or it can be selection system in organization. For example, we all know that what CP use in that selection process. They use like face reading, astrology, Chinese astrology, right? From what I have been heard, especially in it's in even higher position, they hire fortune teller, Chinese fortune teller to help to make decision, which is they believe that it's going to be reliable information to make decision if someone fit with the job. For example, do they look for honesty from maybe eyebrow or maybe from nose? If that's that person hardworking, if we can trust that person. All right. So that's this is from one organization that they believe in face reading. So but actually we have nothing. We can be nothing that can be much. If you want to work for CP, but I don't think that it's gonna be a big problem. It's just like supplemented information. Or it's another factor is come from external, meaning that, for example, like law and regulation. But in Thailand, it's not that big deal. But when I did my master in the US, this is something that's very difficult to me because in terms of law, for example, you cannot ask about people's religion because it's going to be discrimination, something like that, or maybe even marital status, because it can be discrimination. People can bring the thing that you ask into lawsuit because if you not be careful enough. But in Thailand, well, not so much. We can basically can ask anything. So in terms of external environment, it can be one factor can come from information technology And this is from Unilever. Is does anyone here for Unilever? Maybe can help me with this thing, this case. All right. So recently Unilever announced that they do job interview with AI 100%, meaning that worldwide, not just in the headquarters, but worldwide. Which is to some extent I doubt that, which is I will show you later why I doubt that. All right, and this is the process. And so far, after they have been doing this for I think about a year, they claim that they're very happy with the result. And anybody can guess what was major reason that Unilever use AI in selection process? Meaning that they have AI to make decision if someone should work for Unilever. Anybody would like to guess? Okay, since only you, raise your hand.
No human biases.
Very good. Yeah, because most organizations, especially outside Thailand, they try to deal with discrimination. For example, a couple of weeks ago, on my radio show, I talk about research. And of course, that research is done in the United States. And it finds that if pool of candidates have all male and just one female, those female will not stand a chance to get a job. If only one female in job applicants. But the chance that female will get a job will increase if have more female in pool of job applicants, if 2, 3, and 4. In the other word, the more female in job applicants pool, higher chance that female will get a jobs. In the other word, this is talking about bias toward sexual discrimination. Most of the time, they'll get job. They even talk about in terms of orchestra hiring. When they do blind audition, female get job 40% more than without blind audition. Blind audition meaning that job interviewer have no idea about name, gender of job applicants, and this and other type of work too. So well, actually maybe since we living in Thailand, probably it's hard for you to imagine. Really, how come it's that hard? But it seems to be an issue outside Thailand. That's female tend to be inferior in terms of to get a job, which is I would think that maybe in Japan or in Korea too, but not in Thailand, because in Thailand I think in terms of equality of gender is very good, at least. I'm so fortunate to be Thai woman because Thai men treat us very well. Anyway, so but for outside Thailand, that can be an issue. Therefore, they believe that when they use AI, it can handle the issue not only just sexual discrimination, but it's also handle racial discrimination, ethnics, and something like that. Okay, and this is the process. Step 1, submit. Everyone cannot walk in and submit application form. Submit application have to go through LinkedIn. Only one way. Have to be by social media. That's step 1. And then after that step 1, this is a step that they use to do pre-screening. They have all applicants play game, but they call it neuroscience games. It's game. For example, they have coins for job applicants to pick coin as many as they want, as long as there's balloon on the screen. But if the balloon explodes, everything will be gone. Therefore, everyone have to probably place the button to stop after the balloon explodes. Maybe they would want to access risk taking or something like that. But anyway, that's one of the things that they have job applicant play. After this game, they got score from playing game, and if you pass that game, you go to next step, interview with higher rule, and this is AI. So it means that job applicant just probably just use their smartphone, go to certain maybe link and talk to AI. And this is the part that I have question. Since they say that this is gonna they implement this worldwide. Do they have all languages for office worldwide. For example, while you do interview in Thai, I doubt that. I think it should be in English. But if in English in terms of accent, can Wahoo get our accent around the world? I don't know, because for me, from time to time I still have problem talking with Siri. Because when I feel lonely at night, Siri is my friend. So I just like, Siri, hi Siri, and talk to Siri. Sometimes Siri didn't get my accent. I asked for something, I got the accent. Even though I believe that my English is not so bad, but it's happened. Therefore, really? And everybody who understand our accents around the world, if they can understand that, that would be great. Okay. After pass this step, we can go to the final round, which is they got to talk to human being. This is the final round in terms of selection process in Unilever. Okay. What about since we talk about AI, more about AI, and this is insight from AI. After organization use AI in selection process, and we learned that first, forget about grades. GPA, test scores are worthless as criteria. Maybe some organization that are moving toward that they don't care much about university degree. For example, like Google, Microsoft, but not majority of organization. But yeah, some organization they say that that's very important. We just want someone that who actually perform the job. All right, so that's one thing that we got, and another thing, grit, which is come from Professor Angela Duckworth. She studied a group of people and tried to distinguish the one that succeed in their life and the one is just so or not succeed. And it turned out that it's not about IQ that make people to be better than others. When I'm talking better, it means that success in their life. It turned out that to be quality that she calls grit, G-R-I-T, which is what does it mean by grit? It means passion and persistence, right? So, if you have passion about something, if you really into something, and you persistent, you have persistence, you don't stop until you finish. That means grit, and this is a quality that make people to succeed in their life. For example, like Howard Schultz, when he tried to raise funds to buy, since Starbucks was not his own company. Actually, it's founded by other person, and in the beginning, Starbucks sold just coffee bean. But Howard Schultz have vision that Starbucks should sell coffee. He tried to convince the owner, but owner say no. Therefore, he tried to raise funds to get enough money to buy Starbucks. He asked a lot of people. Believe it or not, he asked like 70 people, and all the 70 people say no. But since he had persistence, he keep asking and asking until 20-something person say yes. So they got funding. He got funding, to buy Starbucks. That passion and persistence. This is good. And experience isn't everything, meaning that it doesn't matter that you have your experience or not. As long as you're good, you can just you learn. Maybe it will not take you too long to learn something. And this is maybe from again Google. Google talk about the one that who created Gmail from Google. That was person who just fetched from university, have no experience whatsoever. But he just worked on this project, and it turned out to be a hit one. That star may not be your size, mean that someone that's really, really good at one organization doesn't mean that that person will be very good in other organization. Therefore, each organization should try to study that which quality or competency they're gonna work for certain organization or your own organization. And last, ignore that Facebook photo. Well, probably not about application that makes it look nicer, picture, and we post that on Facebook. But you know, it's not. It probably doesn't matter much in terms of photo. But what matter a lot is comments and what you post. Therefore, if you very active in Facebook, be very careful about your comment and your status. Even though so far organization maybe don't really think that this is going to be information that they use to make decision about hiring position, but it can be supplement information. For example, like bigoted comments or posts about drugs or something that's negative can hurt when you apply for a job and actually can hurt your profile. Therefore, have to be very careful about that when you use social media. All right. Talking about social media, something that I would like to share with you, since I just talk about this today on my radio show, is talking about Gen Z. You guys are Gen Y, right? But now organization prepare for Gen Z. Gen Z right now in that senior, about to finish university and start working. Okay, and Gen Z can be new workforce. Organization have to be very I don't want to say careful, but can be major group of employees. Given that we have less and less workforce in society, so there's one research that try to understand what Gen Z is looking for in their life, and it turned out in terms of communication, 40-something% that Gen Z they want to connect with. It's not about from the technology, but 40% of that communication they want is face to face, meaning that they want human touch, which is very much different from your generation. From Gen Y, prefer that technology it's just normal in your daily life. But for Gen Z, they view that technology just for entertainment. That they they watch movie, they listen to music. But in terms of communication, Gen Z prefer to have face to face because they believe that face to face is better in terms of authenticity and honesty. This is something that they're looking for. And after face to face, which is face to face is like 40% something. And second, which is 20% something, which is where have high gap between number one and number two. Number two is texting message. And number three is telephone. But for the one that have like least percentage, like 8% percentage, is social media, which is again very much different from your generation. And something that I'm not surprised, because when I started a class with my student, freshman, first year in university, and then we're talking about how to connect and how they can get in touch with me. I told them about my Facebook, and they just because when they ask, "Do you guys use Facebook?" and they say no, and I say, "Okay, let's hand anybody have Facebook." Like there are probably like 60 students, just only like one or two raise their hand. I'm just got surprised, like really, you guys don't have Facebook? No, okay. Something interesting about Gen Z. And if you remember that on the second half, we're talking about open office, open space office, which is Gen Y thing. It turned out that it's not the thing for Gen Z. Gen Z do not like that open space working because they would like to work more independent. Your Gen Y enjoy collaboration, but Gen Z they're more independent. And if organization have like open space working, they rather have headphone, because when people working around, it can be disturbing for them, or they can choose to work from home. This is they're very individualistic. That is and a lot of things that you will find surprised that Gen Z very much different from Gen Y, which is, and of course because Gen Z were raised by Gen X. Therefore, they pretty much probably have something take after from Gen X. This makes Gen Z more similar to Gen X than Gen Y. Anyway, that's something that organization have to prepare for the new workforce shortly. All right. So next, when we're talking about selection, this is selection criteria that we have criteria for a job, which is can be example of selection criteria. It can be formal education. It can be experience, physical characteristic, personal characteristic, and personality type. Let's talk about that in detail. Formal education, yes. Even from AI, it's said that probably less in terms of formal education, but well, I doubt that, especially in Thailand, we still require formal education. It can be certain degree, maybe certain nature that organization look for, or maybe even in like specific type of degree that organization look for. That's formal education or experience. For some organization that they require work experience. But for some, for example, just like Google, well, no, it doesn't matter much about work experience. Or one software company called Keyence. Anybody familiar with that software company, Keyence, which is, I think they have headquarters in the United States, but also they have office in Thailand. When I look at their classified ads in Thailand, they say that we hiring, but we want someone that have no experience. If you have experience, not for us. We just want someone that have no work experience. Which is well, I have a question. How come? Why they just want to hire just someone that who have no experience? Just fresh from school. Well, from Google, they say that because it's easy for them to embed organizational culture who have never been for any other organization. That's the reason that why Google said that experience doesn't matter much working for Google. But when I bring this question up with some of my student, which is in HR and in IT company, and he said that we do that. The reason that we do that is because when we hire someone that we have no experience, it means that it costs less. Which is okay. This is a major reason because it costs less. But I told him that, well, but that if that major reason, probably it's not a good reason, because after they have working experience, they're gonna leave to work for other organization that pay better, right? So that's you probably cannot just keep people to work long in your organization if you just target someone because just you want to keep the cost low. All right, so that or maybe some organization they prefer experience because study prove that experience is related to job performance. If someone have work experience, they can perform that job better. Physical characteristic, for example, it can be like height, like flight attendants have required height for requirement. Is it 160 something, right? For flight attendant, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know for sure, but definitely, not a job for me. That or even pilot also have this physical characteristic, or some if this involve lifting, maybe have body have to be big, yeah, can, or firefighter, maybe that require physical characteristic or guard. Or it can be personal characteristic and personality, for example, like marital status, gender, or even age can be used as criteria. In Thailand, in the past or even current, organization prefer young work for organization, but maybe who knows? Since we entering aging society, maybe organization may have to rethink about age that they prefer in organization. Alright, and this can be author personal characteristic, for example, attitude. And this is just a test. If we from this picture, if we make it to become a box, what are going to be 1, 2, 3, or 4? Can you answer this question? When we from a box from this? Answer is 1. Alright, continue. Okay, next. Group presentation. Already talked about this. But I just want to try to make sure something that's, it's important, and I probably will not talk about this in details unless you have specific question you can ask me. It doesn't matter what method that you will use next in selection process. But whatever method that you use, make sure that it have these 5 qualities. This is why we talk about 5 things, 5 evaluation selection method standards. Okay, first, let's begin with reliability. Reliability means we have consistent when we use that method. For example, one test that claims that they have high reliability is TOEFL. When you take TOEFL, it doesn't matter which test that you took, as long as you don't do anything different. Your test score should turn out not very much different. This is mean reliability. But if the test do not have good reliability, it means that maybe it depends on when you take the test. Some tests is easy, some tests is difficult. So it's probably depend on luck on that. But good tests try to make sure that they have reliability, meaning that even though they have like tests maybe every month, but it doesn't matter which month that you take a test, result should be not very much different. And of course, it doesn't mean that it has to be exactly the same, but it can be just a little bit different, like acceptable. That doesn't mean reliability. But we talk about reliability, it can be, for example, we test just like TOEFL. You took a test like in January and in March. If you don't study more, score that you got should get not very much different. That test only test reliability. For interracial reliability means that like in job interview. Every part of interview we have like interviewer A, B, and C. Score that interviewer give to interviewee amongst the 3 interviewers should not be very much different. For example, if A give 10 and B give 6 and C give 4. So this is mean that interview is not reliable because between the rater score is very much different. On contrary, if A give like 9, B give 10, and C give 9, that can be like, okay, that interview have high reliability. Alright, so this is mean reliability can be from test, retest, or can be between raters or among raters. That is what does it mean by reliability. And next is what we call is validity. Validity can be, complex, okay? Under validity, we have 3 types of validity. Let me explain that 3 types of validity. The first is content. Content means content of the job. So if we, for example, if we hire secretary, we should have tests, for example, like using computer, because secretary have to use computer a lot, think that word, because we have to look at content of the job and write a test or have the test or something that have to do with the content of the job. So in the answer last time that about housekeeper, remember that housekeeper? If you want to find something that to prove that my selection process is good in terms of you claim that have content validity, you should have that person who apply for housekeeper to do housekeeping job, maybe like cleaning, something like that, or maybe like cleaning bathroom, cleaning floor, something like that. That's content. validity. Okay. In that case, if we look at like the FAST, well, but actually you have to help me because I'm really not a fan of FAST. But from what I know, you know about the TV show that the FAST they looking for the winner gonna be the top model, right? And they have like each week they have like things for contestant to do. You think that the FAST have content validity? I think so, right? They have like to like do some thing like as a model to do, for example, to pose under the water or like dance and pose something like that. So that can be example that's they at least the FAST Thailand they have content validity that they have applicant or contestant do something that related to modeling work. And next is construct. Construct is a trade, which is different from when we talk about trade. It's not something that we can easily measure. It's not height. It's not weight. Because if it's height, we can like easily measure that. But construct can be like leadership. It's more abstract. So it's like we have to think about what does it mean by leadership, and then we use that. What does it mean to form maybe a test, and use that test to measure leadership of some applicant. Okay, so it's quite difficult to come up with a good construct validity. But it's but if organization look for this construct or this quality, organization need to have test or something that can show that have a construct validity. All right, and next is criteria validity. And when we talk about what does it mean by criteria means that if that test or interview or whatever be criterion for what is something that we're looking for, which is it can be like sales, it can be absenteeism, it can be accidents, it can be supervisory rating. For example, I talked to one bank, and they talk about instrument that they use in hiring salesperson in their banks, and they say that this instrument is very very good at time, even though we have to pay a lot, but I think it's good. And then they ask, why do you think it's good? They say that because we have our salesperson to do the test, and then we use that information or data to do correlation with their sales. And it turned out that score that they got from the test highly correlate with number of sales that they make. All right. So this is example of criterion validity. From that bank, that she said that she told me that she have current employees do the test, and then after they got the test score, they use the test score and then try to find correlation between test score and their sales, their sales value. And this is what we call concurrent, that we measure our current of incumbents, which is someone that already worked for us, measure their performance and find correlation. If it shows that high correlation, it means that that test is good, that measure is good. But if no correlation, it means that that test is not good. But another type of criterion validity we call is predictive. It's a little bit different than for predictive. We use the test with applicants. For concurrent, we use the test with current employees. But for predictive, we use the test with applicants. Therefore, it's just some applicants that pass the process and accept to work in organization, accept the job offer and work in organization, and wait for some time period. And after that, measure performance and find correlation between that score and their performance. This is we call it predictive, which is to use concurrent or predictive, both have pro and con. which is of course when you use concurrent it's faster, right? Because you don't have to wait for them to work, for a certain period of time, and then you can get their performance because they already work for our organization already. But when we use concurrent validity, maybe we just get a group of, certain group of working in organization already. Maybe have self-selection bias. So it's like, it depends on constraint that organization have. It's probably, concurrent is not good or bad per se because it's have a pro and con. All right. So that's, let me just go back and remind you where we are. Okay. So we just finished two, reliability and validity. But in terms of validity, we have a lot of details in validity. So next we will move on to generalizability, which is actually nothing much. This is generalizability. This is talking about the degree to which the validity of a selection method, and again, this can be any method, this can be tests, it can be interview, that is can be applied in other situation, in different type of people, because it can be generalized to other. This is mean generalizability. And next, quality standard, that is utility, which is include reliability, validity, and generalizability. And last is legality, which is mean that is not against law. Just that, that's the 5 standards that we should have, no matter what method that we use in selection process. All right, and these are selection methods. Okay, we have application form, interview, test, work sample, physical and medical test, reference check. All right, let's begin with first. This is look. Even though this is from our textbook, but it doesn't mean that all organizations have to go through this process exactly the same. Some organizations maybe they don't have tests. Some organizations probably they don't have reference check. But most of the time, I don't want to say 100% because it's hard. But from what I know, at least we have interview because we got to meet how you look like, at least have a chat. So interview tend to be major things that we use in selection process. But anyway, let's begin with application form, because we look in details in application form, and also along with application form it can be like resume. But one thing we have to know that people admit that they lie in their resume, so don't believe in resume. Most people they say they are willing to lie in resume, and okay. But I'm not saying that you should lie in your resume. For me, honestly, it's the best policy. But you have to be realistic to know that most people they lie in their resume. So in terms of selection process, we have to use other things to check. Not only just believe what they told us in that resume. That's for screening. And employment interview. Okay, so is interview a good predictor for in selection process? The answer is not really, because did you have experience that you think that you know person because you have been friends with that person maybe like for a long time, but it turned out to be disappointed, even though you know that person for long. Yes, it can be like some, it can be, oh, I actually don't know that person. And when compared to interview, just like I have an hour, you cannot really know person just by talking to them in that short time. Therefore, interview can be poor predictor of job performance. But since we have no other way rather than interview. Therefore, the best is that we should train interviewer how to conduct good interview. And this is how we can do, but how we should do interview. First, we have to structure interview. What does it mean to structure interview? It means that in terms of interview, we have two types of interview. We have structured interview and unstructured interview. Unstructured interview means that, well, no structure or force whatsoever. Interviewer can ask any question that pop to their mind. But for structured interview, interviewer have to follow a list of questions. And interviewer have to use the same list of questions with all job applicants. So this is, by using structured interview, you can tell that structured interview help, to handle bias issue. Because it turned out that, for example, like attractiveness can matter a lot in job interview. In the other, in terms of research, people who are attractive tend to get a job faster, easier than a job who is less attractive. If you see what I mean. And they also, expand that research. Think about like, should we put picture on resume? Would it be good or would it be bad, if we apply for a job? You think that should you put your picture on your resume? Should you? If you apply for a job, should you have a picture on resume? Should you? But again, this research is done in Israel. So I will have, I just read the finding. Maybe I can comment a lot about that research method. But it turned out that, well, it depends on your gender. If you're male and you show your picture on resume, it's gonna be benefit you. You have, a high chance to got a, job interview. But if you're female, probably it's not good. And they conclude that because most HR are female. So, well, when you see a person who looks nice, so you don't want to have like a lot of persons who look nicer than you working along with you. I don't know. Just but that's top. That can be one addition of back to attractiveness. So since we find that we have bias, we favor a person who is attractive. Therefore, if we use unstructured interview, maybe type of question, difficulty of questions can be different. It depends on person that we ask. Maybe if that person that's look nice, maybe got easy question like, why you want to work for this organization? Tell me about your strength and your weaknesses. Come on, this question is easy. People you have to answer this question, right? But for an attractive one, maybe got a hard question, tough question, something like, tell me about forecast demands of our product, in the industry, something like that. So that's it's hard to compare people, if candidates, if they got very much different questions. That's why structured interview should be better. So can you tell me when we write question, in structured interview, where should information that we use to write question? Where or which we can use to write question from? Not resume, because resume is about candidates, but our focus should focus on job, right? It should be based on job description and job specification. This is why job analysis is important. So what we ask should matter about things that they have to do. At least when you base your questions on what they do, at least we will have content validity, right? So that's type of interview. And we also have other type of interview that we call behavioral description and situation interview. Behavioral interview means that applicants ask applicants about their past work experience. Something like, tell me your past experience working with people in your teamwork. Do you enjoy it or not? Something like that. But for situation interview, meaning ask question about situation that, well, what if this happened? What you gonna do? like, well, what are you gonna do if you have to make important class, but on your way out from home, you have family urgent. What would you do in that case? That is situation. I think about situation and to see how employees will respond. And by the way, some of you in your answer talking about STAR interview, which is I think it comes from group presentation. That they say that Marriott do STAR interview. If you remember from last time Marriott case and group presentation that they brought this up that saying like Marriott do STAR interview. What does it mean by STAR interview? It's STAR. It's come from situation, right? And T task and A action, very good, and R result. Yes, ask about that. That is STAR interview. All right. So we have to train, know how to ask interviewer how to ask question with open-ended question, not yes or no. Allow interviewer to describe to answer the question via potential biases. And this is tips for interview. Exhibit an interview plan, exhibit and maintain rapport, be an active listener, pay attention to nonverbal cues, provide information freely, use question effectively, separate facts from inference, and so on. Let's see. And this is something that can influence in job interview. And again, this is done in United States. So they have like grooming, highly influence. Therefore, if you have to go to job interview next time, be careful about your grooming. Non-traditional interview attire can be almost 50%. Since this is in United States, therefore handshake, but in Thailand I would think why. Don't forget to why, and so on. So that's even like tattoo. That's can influence. All right. Let you show you this clip that they think that they did the job. They have job interview that you hardly see before. This is from Heineken.
What's your management style?
Passionate. Passion.
And what's your biggest weakness?
Being stubborn. Stubborn, I think.
Can you give me one reason why I should hire you?
Because sports is my passion.
I'm very passionate about football.
Really like a football.
When you are looking for a job or an interview,
Take a brush.
you look good, you feel good. Hi. Hello. How are you?
Things are mad.
Okay, great. Okay. And so you liked it when we were walking hand in hand?
Great, awkward
It made
situation.
me feel
And to see how
comfortable.
candidate will
Interesting.
respond
We'll see
to
what
awkward
happens.
situation.
Thank you very much for your time, I suppose.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
also very much.
Thank you.
So do you, are you sure?
I'm fine. I'll get a little water in a second.
Did you say that?
They were these.
If we're talking about money, how much money do you think you would like to have for the position? Last time this happened was at a disco.
The disco there?
Fire and passion or cold and calculated?
I would say cold and calculated
Wrong
because
answer.
Fire and passion. Other people get infected by my enthusiasm.
You think I'm getting infected right now?
We need to go. Simon, Mr. Wilson, please. Come on, we need to get going.
Missing eyes there. Can you help us, please? Can you help us, please? There's a gap here. Sir. He's okay.
As you can see that Heineken not only uses as a selection process, but they also use it to market their product. So amongst business function, I see that HR and marketing are highly related. Something that can, go together. Okay, just like for you see from Heineken. All right. So next is testing. Well, it can be paper and pencil test, aptitude test, it can be manual, dexterity, it can be intelligence, personality, it can be expensive, it depends on type of test that you use. Normally, high quality tests cost a lot. Some organizations, they even, they told me that our test that they use in selection process, like cost us $1 million. Something like $1 million, something like that. All right. So it's but if if this organization is big, they have resources, they can use high quality test. That's talking about budget that they have, complexity of the job, size of quality, size and quality of applicant, population. That can be in a factor. All right. But some of you also use job test, and this is one selection method that Google is using, because Google believes that if someone can actually perform that job, that should be good indicator than other things. So and you say for job applicants, like for housekeeper, you have them do job testing, work sampling. All right, can it be cognitive ability tests? This can be personality. That's from maybe much from last time. All right. Next is reference check. When we apply for a job, after someone apply for a job, we should do reference check. But again, when we ask reference person, most of the time it's going to be someone that job applicant believes that will give them positive reference, which is okay, but it's better that we don't do reference checks. Last, when in decision making, we make decision with okay, can do, and we do just can do from knowledge, skill, ability, and we do from personality, values, and motivation. All right. In terms of decision, selection decision, it can be two ways. One is multiple hurdle approach, meaning that we have round 1, round 2, and 4. Applicant have to pass round 1. If they don't pass, then they fail. Okay, and we for one pass round one, go to the next round and next round until the final round. That multiple handle approach. I would say that, like for example, the best Thailand use multiple handle approach, but for compensatory model, meaning that everyone go through rounds and just use the total score from all rounds, and some for a person that will have high score will get the job. After that, we communicate to the one who passed job interview and job offer. Tell them about deadline for them to make decision if they take the job offer or not. If the offer is rejected, well, can be maybe make counter offers or extend offer to runner up, or in the case that a job is offered, so okay, that's the next step. Alright, I think this is pretty much about selection process. Do you have any question before we? Yeah, okay.
In this country, normally we have like 3 months probation period. Right? Is it including this like the flow chart, or is like after this selection?
In this section, if you are interested about probation, right?
No, I mean like what you explained here, like this part is like including probation period, like to watch that what how
After
they
this, when we have them working for us, that's probation. And this is 90 days because it's because of Thai law. If it's longer than that, if we don't want them and they leave, we have to pay civilian package. But we took for up to 90 days, no civilian package. Therefore, most organizations they go with 90 days probation because of Thai law, just that.
So actually, like we can like managers can review how they work, right, on those 90 days.
Yes, and if they don't want that, okay, they just can let that person go easily. But after that 90 days, that it means that the employment contract will be fully activated. So if after that, even just like 1 day, and we don't want that, and they tell them to leave, we have to pay civilian package, like 1 month. But before that, no, just go. All right. Any other question? Okay. If no other question, we take a break and we will continue with the presentation.